We have thousands of people who go missing every year, just here in the United States, and there's no discrimination on the missing. They are young, old, black, white, male or female, even children. It's time to stop. It's still missing, and they've not found any new clues. It's women who are pregnant, it's women who have jobs, and it's women who have not seen even fetal abductions. Have you seen me? Hello guys, Chief Mother Talking News. I'm back again. There's so much going on, I can't even keep up. But one of the cases that I was one of the first to cover, which was Suzanne Morphew, has a terrific update just on the anniversary, just about on the anniversary of Suzanne Morphew, about a year ago. Few days ahead of Sunday, Mother's Day. It will be a year since she's been missing. I had a lot of trouble getting that out, and it's probably because my head's spinning. I've been doing so many stories and research. I am very excited about today, and I want to say thank you, Angela G, for thinking of us and letting us know. And this is something that I have been expecting, and I started to kind of lose hope, I believe, a month ago. I don't know, I'm losing track of time. But I had heard that the police wanted us to be kind of quiet. And the reason for that is they were kind of on his trail pretty hot and heavy. And so I didn't want to continue to cover the story for several reasons. And one of the reasons was the police really wanted this story hush-hush. As much as I would have loved to cover this story, and a lot of people wanted to hear more about this story, it wasn't helping the police. That's not what they wanted. And we are here because we want justice and we want to help Suzanne. That's what we're here for. Before we talk about what's happening, I want to say that there were a lot of YouTubers who really tried so hard to help with this case. And it was nice to see people care. Media covered this case pretty heavy, but I believe that this case was definitely one of the top cases in the YouTube community. Today, they give us news that her husband, Barry Morphew, was arrested. And just a few moments ago, they actually had a briefing on that. And I'll give clips to that because most of you have probably seen it, or you can go to the official links that actually, the news sources that were there, they went all out to record this briefing. First, I want to go over a reminder about the case, and I'll try to make it as brief as possible. So, May 10th, 2020, Suzanne Morphew, cancer survivor. She's 49 years old, lived in Colorado, in the town of Maysville. They have 2 grown daughters, and they lived off of West Highway 50, west of Maysville, Colorado. When she went missing, her husband, Barry Morphew, was 150 miles away about in Denver doing a construction job, he says. And at some point on May 10th, the daughters become concerned they couldn't get a hold of their mother and called a neighbor to go check on her. The neighbor said that she could not find Suzanne Morphew anywhere, and around 5:45 p.m. on May 10th, after failure to find Suzanne Morphew, she was reported missing. I'm trying to remember details too, so it wasn't unusual that Susan Morphew would ride her bike because they had tons of bike trails in the area. And according to neighbors and family, this is something she often done. But police were called and they find Suzanne Morphew's bike near a water source that's not that far away from her home. For me, initially, this information was shared by her nephew, Trevor Noel. It's at that point that a massive search begins for the missing mother. Within only 2 days of her being missing, the police sent out divers in the neighboring Pueblo County, and they were scouring the reservoir that was less than a mile from Suzanne's property. On May 13th, it was Wednesday night, and the sheriff's office released a new update saying that over the past 4 days, searching for Suzanne Morphew, they had 100 personnel from Chaffee County Search and Rescue and the Department of Corrections, as well as the Chaffee County Combined TAC Team, scour the area. We heard about bits of evidence that they found, but we weren't certain if it was just rumor or fact. There was numerous drones searching the area and 8 different tracking scent dogs from the Department of Corrections. But there was no Suzanne Morphew. They were quick on the scene, and they had covered Highway 50 over the Monarch Pass, and it was temporarily closed for part of Friday as crews searched a 2.5 radius, 2.5 mile for correction. And it was May 15th, 2020, that they discovered a personal item they believed to belong to Suzanne Morphew. An item was found just west of County Road 225 and Highway 50. So the search teams continued to focus on that area. The county sheriff, John Spacey, excuse me for stuttering, guys, I'm trying to hurry to do this, held a press conference around 5 p.m. And there were problems with Barry Morphew, Suzanne Morphew's husband, with the police, and he was saying that they were messing up the scene, that they were walking all over things, and just acting kind of angry. For many people following this story, that set up a red flag, but for me, I felt like we needed more before you could really point fingers. But there were a lot of people immediately pointing fingers at Barry, because in most cases like this where the husband's okay and the wife is missing, it's usually attached to the spouse. But one thing you don't want to do in an investigation too, and I know that, is to make them feel that they are guilty. You want them to feel more relaxed, so that way they're able to be themselves, and they're not thinking about the tracks they need to cover up. It wasn't long, and Barry Morphew was posting on Facebook, and there was $100,000 reward for any leads that would, bring Suzanne Morphew back home safe. Shortly, there was now a $200,000 reward, which was matched by a friend of Barry. There was also a GoFundMe page set up for the family. And around this time, the FBI was setting up a dedicated tip line. Investigators were encouraging any leads. Now, guys, it's been a long time since I covered this story. So around May 17th, media comes out, and they are sharing a story and a video of Barry Morphew pleading for his wife to come back home, or whoever has her to bring her back. To many people, he doesn't look sincere, but you can see where he's actually trying to show that he really cares for his wife who is missing. He says, "We love you. We miss you. Your girls need you." But the public was not satisfied with his plea. Barry says on the video, "I will do whatever it takes to get you back. Honey, I love you, and I want you back so bad." This video was also posted on the Facebook page called Find Suzanne Morphew. At the beginning, Barry Morphew was very enthusiastic about trying to find his wife. That is, until Suzanne's brother, which I'm not going to really mention names and stuff with this, really started to get more active in this case and really pointed his finger towards Barry. Something inside him told him that he felt foul play. Though he and his sister were not close, he still had this feeling that something bad happened, and it was because of her husband, Barry Morphew. Meanwhile, YouTubers, I can't remember his name, Tyson, and he was trying to help, goes out to Colorado at one of those searches that Barry Morphew put together for his wife. And he was secretly taping Barry, which started to make Barry feel to where he couldn't trust anybody. I really do believe that was a turning point, along with Suzanne Morphew's brother and his persistence to continue to push searching for his sister Suzanne. At that point, Barry began to withdraw and isolate himself away from Suzanne's family and many other people, including anyone, media. He wasn't searching for Suzanne any longer. He had cameras installed on his property. Guys, it'll take me forever to go over my timeline, so I'm going to cut it shorter. So, anyways, at first, the police were reaching out to the public to help search for Suzanne Morphew. And at that point, Suzanne had been missing a week. They also asked neighbors to hold on to devices or security camera footage of the time that Suzanne went missing, a little bit before and after. Around May 20th, 2020, investigators received approximately 200 tips. But police were good at keeping things under wraps and keeping them hush-hush. Around this time as well, police have now taken over the Morphew residence. And they actually had possession of this residence for a few days. I can't remember how many now, but quite a few. And Suzanne Morphew's husband, Barry Morphew, was staying with friends. During this time that the home was under the control of the investigators, her family was not allowed to go into the home. And this is where I got my first tip of how to act with this case. So the police said that Barry Morphew was fully cooperative and wasn't connected. It's at that point I knew which direction the investigators were going. Chaffee County investigators continued to search, but they claim or said that they found nothing more at the time. It wasn't long, and a CSI photographer was spotted on the premises of the Morphew home, and evidence bags were pictured being brought out of the residence and loaded into a van. Around this time, we find out that the neighbor that went to check on Suzanne Morphew was Janann Ritter. She was 70 years old. We also find out more information about the phone call, the phone call from Suzanne Morphew's daughters. A neighbor said that they called saying that we never heard from Mom. Can you go check on her? But around this time, the public and sleuths and YouTube and media, they're starting to realize that no one actually saw Suzanne on the bicycle. I want to make sure I mention that because I think I forgot to last time, and I had people attacking me from other channels. It's not fun or funny. And also, Barry Morphew, who was 52, said that he was away on training. We also learned that Suzanne Morphew was a cancer survivor and that she had been receiving cancer treatments off and on. We learned also Barry Morphew, I think I already said this, he was away on training. He said that was the rumor that was spreading, that he was on because he was a volunteer firefighter. I never got a chance to look into that and find out where that started, but it wasn't important anyways, because they find out that he was actually staying in a hotel and had called a few of his employees to drive up 150 miles to Denver to do a job, and this was considered suddenly. But we weren't really certain at the time this was a sudden job or if this was planned. But when Barry Morphew gets the call that his wife is missing, and he suddenly leaves the hotel, and his employees end up coming in behind him and staying in that same room he left. We find out much later that these people that were staying in the hotel room say, and I can't remember their names, I'm sorry, This is from memory right now. That the towels in the room smelled strongly of chlorine. Well, that was confusing to me. Did they mean bleach or chlorine? That was always confusing to me. I guess it's basically the same thing, but when you refer to chlorine, you're referring to pool, I think, more, and bleach to cleaning. But they said that he hadn't been swimming, so that it makes sense. So they felt like, this smell, whatever was in this hotel room, was so strong that it just wasn't normal. And anybody that heard this found this very suspicious and started immediately blaming Barry for foul play. There was times I wanted to do that myself, but we knew that the police were given hints. Do not give him that feeling. Don't give him anything. Just act like nothing's happening. Of course, Suzanne Morphew's brother is getting all this information, and things are starting to add up in his head. He's seeing things that aren't so pretty. He's doing interviews on YouTube channels, and they're talking about it, and they're just very open and pushing, and they're upset with the police. They feel that the police aren't doing their job, which at first I felt the same way until I finally figured out what they were doing. When police took interest at the east side of Salida, I hope I never say that right, I used the Earth map to try to look at the area and see what they're looking at. Again, the police are saying that the property owner is not connected to Morphew's disappearance. Long story short, because this story can go on forever, Barry Morphew sells his house. He gets a lump sum of money, and rumored he got remarried. And if you were interested in this case, you probably would look on YouTube to find information on the case, which I'm suggesting you do now. So Barry it's been kind of quiet, thank God. And I felt like the police were close to finding some information. And I think like I said, about a month or two ago, I started to lose hope myself. But today ends that because the Chaffee County investigators, the prosecuting attorney, I forgot her name, I'm sorry, because I'm really in a hurry doing this stuff, announced that he is behind bars and that they feel confident that they have the right guy behind bars. And this is based on evidence they collected, but rightfully so. They won't share that information because it is an ongoing investigation as much as we want to know. And so I'm going to play a few clips from that, and here we go.
My name is Linda Stanley. I'm the district attorney for the 11th Judicial District, which includes Fremont County, Custer, and Chaffee counties total. I wanted to say that thanks for being here for everybody, and there's a couple of things I'd like to address about this case. First, the investigation is still ongoing. Suzanne, her body has not been found, and we're still looking into that. The investigation is ongoing. Second, Barry Morphew is presumed innocent until proven guilty. That's important to remember. Third, the arrest affidavit is sealed at this time. I cannot and will not discuss it. Fourth, all media inquiries from this date forward should go through my office. However, I'm sure you all are aware and know that we cannot talk about any open or active investigation, and that is per the rules of professional conduct that we will abide by. Lastly, I wanted to say that today is a good day. It's a good day for all of the men and women in law enforcement that have tirelessly worked toward getting here. They worked day in and day out, sacrificing more than any of you will ever know. They even continued working and continued their sacrifices as they were being raked over the coals and second guessed as to their skills and abilities. I'm standing here in front of you on this good day because they never quit. Sheriff Speasy and his deputies at the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, Alex Walker, investigator for the 11th Judicial District, those two individuals in Sheriff Speasy's office in particular are consummate professionals and, quite frankly, some of the best I've ever worked with in my entire professional career. They followed every lead, every tip, and every unanswered question, no matter what direction it led them in. They never compromised the integrity of the investigation. On several occasions over the last few months after I was sworn in on January 12th of this year, I met with these professionals and went through hours and hours of their meticulous investigation. Their investigation was presented to our office just a few weeks ago.
So it's only just a few weeks that they're finally kind of wrapping things up and getting it ready for this day that happened. And they seem very proud of the work that they have done. Let's continue.
Today is a good day, but for my office, this is where the work begins. There's more work to be done. However, this is an important and incredibly crucial step. And today is a good day for Suzanne. As far as I'm concerned, today is all about Suzanne. And it's about her family. And it's about all the individuals that knew her and loved her and cared about her. That's what this day is about. And it's a good day.
You can see there that she takes whatever's going on very personal. This seems very personal. It must have really broken their heart. I can't imagine what the two girls are going through, the Morphew girls, Suzanne's daughters. They're having to come to terms with reality that their father could be guilty for taking their mother's life. I quite love how she addressed this and how she made it clear that this is all about Suzanne Morphew, nothing else. Because most of us that follow this story, we had a connection to Suzanne. You can't explain why, but it's there. And she is very proud of what the investigators have done. And we have listened to Suzanne Morphew's brother down them, buried down them, and it took a while for me to even figure out that, wait a minute, this isn't true. Of course, from Suzanne's brother's point of view, he's upset. He's wanting something done now. And so that's understandable. But for him today must relieve so much pressure and weight that's been on his shoulders and heart. And maybe can mend those bad feelings with the investigators and thank them for the job that they have done. They absolutely pulled through for Suzanne and her family.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and take some questions now.
Can you tell us?
Right, send away.
Thank you. Please, the district attorney, if you don't mind. You're not releasing the affidavit. You don't have a body. How can you prove to the members of the public that you have a strong case?
For those that didn't hear the question, he said, we're not releasing the affidavit and we don't have a body, so how can I convince the public that we have a strong case? That's my job. I'm the one that considers how strong my case is before I bring charges, and I wouldn't bring charges unless I was confident.
Suzanne has been missing for nearly a year.
They have a strong case. That's what she's saying. She's feeling confident about that. So there has to be some sort of data or circumstantial evidence of some sort that we don't know about, like maybe even DNA samples of some sort. We hear that they found a cup, and this is just rumor and speculation, guys. I just want to mention it. Maybe they found something in that. Who knows? But I have seen cases trialed without a body, and they go in a direction of justice just fine. It really depends on how well they present the case and the evidence. Guys, I'm going to close out, and I really couldn't avoid news. I'm sorry. background noise today because I've been doing this basically live recording, so not repairing any, not editing or anything. So here is the star of the show, so the sheriff.
It's not, the light bulb moment doesn't happen overnight. It's when you begin an investigation, you start collecting information, you gain more information, and as you go along, you continually assess what you're doing, and as time goes by, you start eliminating certain things and start bringing in other things, and as you progress, you go from one point to another and you make realizations, and so your investigation is always, it never ends till it's over, if that makes sense, and you're constantly learning things, and so you go from what you believe here to what we present now, and so it's a process, and it's been a long process, been a very tedious process.
And so I want to say thank you to the Chaffee County investigation, FBI prosecutor, everybody who was involved with this case, and bringing Barry to face the justice. And we know that he is innocent until proven guilty. So this is one more case that we can say we can close out. It's not ended the way that we want it to, but at least we can see justice prevail. I want to send my love out to the whole entire family, Suzanne Morphew's family and friends, and we are behind you, and we will be hoping for the best. Love you guys. Have a great week and weekend, and I'll see you guys soon.